If you asked a lot of badminton players what was the brand new Yonex racket that came out at the end of last year, I don't think many of them could actually tell you what it was. Even making this video, I'm searching for it on Google and struggling to actually find where it says what it is. Yonex, I think, are having a huge problem at the moment, where in the last few years, their rackets have become really poorly marketed, and nobody seems to actually care anymore. I was at the All England, and the most recent racket that came out, the Nanoflare 700 Pro, there was no excitement for it. I didn't see anyone picking it up. I don't even know what pro players are using it, if any. I remember back in 2018 when the first Astrox 88S and 88D rackets came out and were used by Kevin Tsukamoli or Marcus Gideon. Everyone was talking about them. If you were a doubles player, you had to get them. Even the Astrox 99 used by Kenta Momota, it was huge at the time. But it seems like now Yonex have got so lazy with their racket releases, and now have 3 versions of the Astrox 88S and 88D rackets in 6 years. Nobody really cares about this extra pro version, apart from the colour change, which I don't even think looks any better. I don't actually think many people know what the differences are at all. And Yonex don't even make this clear and even try to persuade you to buy them. You can download their latest catalogue and it's just so boring. You have to scroll down to the 20th page to view their newest racket, and there's nothing there to tell you why you should spend hundreds of pounds replacing your current racket with this one. And what makes this 700 Pro any better than the original 700? And when someone says, oh, I have the second or third Pro version, do you actually care? Because I don't. The price of rackets are always going up, and when you buy a racket, you really need to buy 3 or 4 of the same one. But there's just no excitement at all in what Yonex are doing to make anyone consider getting rid of their perfectly good rackets to buy these brand new models. One way a racket can become popular and make you really want to buy it is when one of your favourite badminton players are winning with it. You see them consistently performing well with one of the brand new rackets, and you think, you know what, maybe that could work for me. A bit like in golf, when people see the best players in the world using the brand new drivers, it creates a lot of buzz for amateurs to use the same club that the pros are using. However, I'm looking at the Yonex website now at their athlete page, and it's just so poor. Let's say Koki Watanabe is your favourite player, and you wanted to see what racket he's using now. There's absolutely no information about it at all. The only way you could find out is if you went to one of his most recent matches on YouTube and tried to pause the match at a point where it shows his racket. They do have some players where that you can see what racket they're using, but there's so many like you can see here, where it's just empty and not been updated. It would take no time for Yonex to update their website and make fans aware. And not only that, but for every racket there's a 3U and 4U version. You have no idea what the pros are using, which again would be so easy for Yonex to add. I definitely think this puts people off buying rackets, because when you're spending hundreds of pounds on rackets, you want to make sure you're getting the right one, the correct weight and grip size. If, for example, you were a doubles player and you could see that a lot of the doubles players were using 4U rackets, it would just give you an idea of what you should get for yourself. Let's quickly run through Yonex's racket releases over the years. In 2017 we had the Dura Z Strike that Victor Axelsen used to win the World Championships and hit world number 1. In early 2018 the Astrox 88S and 88D for doubles, made so popular by Kevin and Gideon. In late 2018 we had the Astrox 99, which was used by Kenta Momota, who was also the world number 1 that year. In 2019, the Nanoflare 700, followed by the stiffer flexed Nanoflare 800. And in 2020, the Astrox 100ZZ, still used by Victor Axelsen today. At this point, all these rackets had a great purpose and were unique. They had really clear identities, and each racket had a distinct playstyle. If you were more of a front court player in doubles, you had the choice of the Astrox 88S, or maybe if you wanted a faster headlight racket, one of the Nanoflares would be a good option. If you enjoyed singles, you had 2 amazing options of the Astrox 99 and Astrox 100ZZ. And all these rackets were different, and it was obvious what pros were using them. Since 2020, all it's been every year is pro versions. In 2021, the Astrox 88S Pro and 88D Pro, also the Astrox 99 Pro. In 2022, the Arc Saber 11 Pro, Astrox 77 Pro and Arc Saber 7 Pro. In 2023, the Nanoflare 1000Z and also the Nanoflare 800 Pro. In 2024, the Astrox 88S and 88D Pro, for the 3rd generation now of the 88S and 88D. And also at the end of 2024, the Nanoflare 700 Pro. And it's near the end of April now, and Yonex hasn't released any actual new rackets for 2025. The only one here that I didn't actually hate was the Arc Saber 11 Pro, just because of how popular the Arc Saber 11 was. And that racket was released in 2007, so a big gap between the versions, not just a few years like these other ones, apart from the Arc Saber 7 Pro, which I didn't even know existed until making this video. But with most of these 2 or 3 year refreshers, it just feels so lazy. They're using the names of popular, well-launched rackets and just slapping pro on the end and hoping people will upgrade their current rackets and trust whatever new innovation Yonex has made in only 2 or 3 years since the original. There has been 3 generations of the 88S and 88D Pro now in the space of 6 years. Is there any actual noticeable improvement between these versions? The NanoFlare series is so confusing to consumers as well. In 2023 we had the NanoFlare 1000Z, and then later in the year the NanoFlare 800 Pro, and now at the end of 2024 the 700 Pro. It just doesn't sound right. You have the 700 being released 2 years newer than the bigger number of the 1000 and 800. If you didn't know much about rackets and wanted to buy one, there's no indication that the 700 Pro is actually the brand new one for this year. If, let's say, you wanted to find more information about this new 700 Pro and jumped on their website, this is what you currently see. At the moment, it's on their homepage and it shows 4 versions of the racket, which Yonex have been doing now for most of their rackets. And I don't honestly get the tour, play, game and pro versions either. 4 versions of every racket. It's overkill. Just 2 would have been enough, a high-end and an entry version of the racket. But instead, you get this mess of overlapping models and unclear specs with no really clear, meaningful comparisons. So I select Learn More. Great, it brings me to the NanoFlare racket section. Awesome, I get to see all the players that are using this racket now, right? Bear in mind this racket was released months ago now. Oh wait, none of these players in this list are using this racket according to Yonex. In fact, out of the 10 players Yonex is showing here, only 3 have their rackets listed. One being Ratchanok Intanon using the NanoFlare 800 Pro and Carolina Marin with a NanoFlare 1000ZZ. The other player, Decibel Puavanarukro, is actually using an Arcsaber racket, the Arcsaber 7 Pro. They are even showing Li Yang here, who retired and his last tournament was back in December. So none of these players are shown to have the brand new top of the range racket. Anyway, let's select the 700 Pro and see what the new specs are. Is this it? Some new materials that nobody knows what they even mean. And new in capital letters, built-in T-joint. Wow. Oh, it's 10mm longer. Well, what does this mean, Yonex? 10mm longer than what? Because when I check other rackets, they also say 10mm longer. Apart from the 88S Pro, which says 5mm longer. So is this racket 5mm longer or actually shorter? Okay, let me scroll down because maybe there is some more below. The first thing it says, it has an isometric enlarged sweet spot, developed over 30 years ago. Well, that's some great new technology in the racket, making it so much better than the original then. And then I scroll through the other technology, and half of them don't even have a photo to try and describe what the technology even is. I want to know what you've done to make this model an improvement, pro version over the original. Is there something that they noticed about the original model which they have made better? Or is this just the same with a new colour? Or is it a completely different racket altogether? Who knows? Let me just check how much this racket is one sec. £176 here in the UK. I would have to buy 4 of these. That's £704. And it's a joke that Yonex can't be bothered to put any effort into this. Even Victor Axelsen, the biggest star for Yonex, is still using the 100ZZ, which came out 5 years ago. They've just announced a new 100ZZ Victor Axelsen edition, which looks to just be a new colour for the racket, which I don't think anyone cares about. New Yonex rackets used to mean something. Every launch felt exciting. Now that excitement's faded, and the connection between the racket, the pros, and the fans just isn't there anymore. I really hope that Yonex can turn things around, and not just with more colour swaps or confusing names, but with rackets that have a clear identity, innovation that's actually obvious to see, and rackets that are actually being used by the pros. I'd rather see fewer releases that truly matter than endless streams of forgettable pro models that we're getting at the moment. Maybe it's even time to start fresh, move on from the Astrox and NanoFlare lines that we've seen over the years, and build a new lineup of rackets, something that can actually get people excited again. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you agree with me that Yonex racket releases are getting boring over the past years? Do you still get excited to buy these new pro rackets, or do you think Yonex could do so much more? I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, and most importantly subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be awesome. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.